Yeah. In other news, Macron visits New Caledonia and says reform will take place against the will of indigenous population. French President Emmanuel Macron described the recent upheaval in New Caledonia as an unprecedented insurrection movement. As he visited the archipelago Thursday, Macron said he would delay new reforms that would give voting rights to French residents of the territory, a move that the indigenous Kanak population argues will dilute their voice and their struggles for independence. This is President Macron. This reform, although it's rejected by some here, which has fed the violence, it has the democratic legitimacy. The bill proposed by the government has been voted with a clear majority, both in the National Assembly and the Senate. I say this as president. We don't just throw away popular sovereignty like a mere piece of paper. This is the French, the French right now who had Niger, who had Burkina Faso. I mean, they pretty much this is another one of their colonies that they've taken over, which these people here are probably like 40, say the indigenous people are about 40% of the population. The French people are about 27%. And obviously you've come there later on and you probably killed off a large number of their population, and they're fighting for freedom. They don't want you in their island anymore.
Yeah.
They want you to leave. And so now what you're doing now is you're just sending people over to the island to go live there. It's probably, I'm not sure I think it's in the South Pacific, I believe. It's probably a nice, warm environment. They're sending their people over there. Here, go, the retirees, go live over there, and now you can vote.
Yeah.
And basically, so we can dilute the power of the locals and steal the island.
Kind of like Hawaii.
Kind of like Australia. You know what I mean? Like the same thing they've done.
Colonization happens to this day, just like slavery, man. It's just, that's crazy. Like, what they're gonna have to revolt.
They already started with this deal where they went into it. They've been rioting, tearing shit up like they're supposed to.
Yeah, like you're supposed to. That's the whole thing. People like you built this civilization. You shouldn't be scared to burn it down and start over.
I mean, in all honesty, man, like this has been my favorite line is your reign on top but short like leprechaun. That comes from a very, very solid poet, Christopher Wallace of our time. That's what he said in one of his poetry writings that he made, and that's what I believe is happening to the people from the Western civilization right now. Their reign is starting to fall apart, and I don't believe that they know what else to do with this right now. I think they see it happening in front of them. The grip that they've had on society, they haven't had their own people turned against them. The ICJs turned against them, ICCs turned against them because they see the truth. And now people are starting to speak the truth. Like just like that guy from the ICC came out and said that they told me this court was made for Africa and for other people.
And for other countries, you're not supposed to come at us for it.
I watched that whole interview, and it just feeds into this type of thinking that Macron will come here.
Or the same thing. Who's the bald head dude that Prince, not Harry, what's the other one? Prince William. He says the same. He's like, oh my gosh, there's war in a European country. He's like, usually that's just Africa. There's just war in Africa. Well, this doesn't happen over here. Because that's the way they feel about it. They
pushed everything offshore, but these things are coming back to roost now. Like the biggest thing is that countries who are people of color right now are starting to advance. And very shortly, most of the top 10, top 15 countries of GDP and probably military too, because they're gonna have the numbers, are gonna be countries of color. Your guys are going to be stuck basically with your nuclear weapons, trying to defend yourself with that. But at the end of the day, your immigrants are going to wipe out your population because that's what's already happening. That's why you're angry. You look at Macron, not just him, but just in France in general, they stopped letting, I believe they're called minarets, or I can't remember. It's their Islam is like their temples or their
mosques.
Yes, they have these type of steeples on top. I'm not sure if they're called minarets. Don't please forgive me for if I'm getting that mistaken. They said there were too many of them in France, and they stopped letting them to do that. And they also told the women they didn't have to wear their hijabs.
Well, they're mad. They're big mad in Europe. There's a lot of countries they've been showing videos where they're like, look, they're showing parks where it's just covered with immigrants. It's just you got to keep up your own population.
The fact of the matter is they cannot keep up their own population. That's why you look at Spain, you look at Italy, their population has been decimated, is in decline. The only reason that countries like France,
Greece,
and the UK are have a positive birth rate are because of immigrants right now. Just like America, the only reason we have a positive birth rate is because of immigrants right now. Without that, those countries, they cannot turn around their birth rate of the people who live there for their indigenous people who are from there, like the actual Caucasians, the Europeans. They can't. It's done. It's over. It's so low. It's over with. They need people to come in and do what they're doing, but they don't want that. You look at I believe it. I don't want to say it's either Norway or Finland, one of those countries up top there where we talked about him here recently, where their president just came into power and he's he's like a neo something. He's pretty much a racist dude. He's like, we don't want any more kicking all immigrants out of our country. They're trying to keep the purity of their race because they understand these are our last vestiges of hope. This is it for us.
Yeah.
And so, but at the end of the day, when something like that happens, it's not that I'm advocating for your race to end, but understand that there's going to be a change. No matter what happens, there's going to be a change. Capitalism has taken a turn and it's kind of fallen into the laps of the people, like people from China, people from India, other countries like that are coming up.
Well, think about it. If it was affordable here in America to actually have children and daycare and work a job and, people would actually have more kids. But I know people that don't have kids. They're like, I couldn't bring a kid into this economy, into this world. I can't afford that. I can barely afford to take care of myself.
And as you get put in a situation to where a lot of countries talk about how like a socialist, they don't use the word socialism, but there's like a social kind of an economy where you can provide healthcare for your people, where you can have it so there's a 4-day work week, and you look at like in France, I believe their retirement age is like 52, man.
Yeah,
and they get like a month off.
Is that year. France? I know there's a country in South America, or
I know it's happening in
they
Europe,
do it
man.
Where like you take the Wednesday off, you take like I think it may be France, like you take like a 3-hour lunch. You go home and kick it, take a nap.
In Europe, they have like they've stolen. That France has the 4th largest gold reserves in the entire world.
Really?
And they don't even have any gold in their country to mine at all. They have the 4th largest gold reserves in the world. Think about that. So when these countries have gone out across the world and they did what they had to do, I don't blame you for doing what you did. People do things like that. This is as the world was. But okay, now you've taken what everyone else has, all their wealth, mined a lot of it out of their grounds, and you're still like right now taking and raping those same places for what they have, making them give you things for a cheaper price in your currency, where you drive down the price of their currency. And now you're taking it all back to your country. Where do you think people are going to go?
Yeah.
They're going to come to your country. Just like the guy said, man, if a person steals my TV and takes it to their house, I don't have the right to go watch my TV at your house.
That is true.
And that's kind of what that is.